meeting of the Board of Education for Tuesday, January 7th of 2025. This meeting is now called to order. We will first stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked a student of ours to come up and lead us. Would you please lead us? Mr. Sean Black, you can stand at the podium.
Ms. Williams,
and we will.
you need to take a roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Black, you just stand there. Do we have to do that first?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So we'll do a roll call. Dr. Turner.
Thank you.
Simon says sit down.
Okay, Simon says sit down.
That works.
Okay,
All right.
You can stay right
you
here.
can stay where you are.
Ms. Heinrich?
Here.
Dr. Blau?
Here.
Mr. Hull? Here. Ms. Smith?
Here.
I myself here. Mr. Walker, absent. Ms. Williams?
I am present.
Thank you.
We will now stand for the pledge, and you can lead us. Into the mic.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Black. That was the best rendition of the Pledge of Allegiance in all of 2025 I've ever heard. Thank you. We will now move to the oath of office. We have one new board member and one sort of new board member and one old board member, I'm sorry.
Re-elected board member.
Now, which is which?
Would the two returning board members and one new board member please go to the podium with Judge Marla Parker to read your oath of office? Thank you.
So as the new members are coming up to join me, I just want to say it's certainly my honor to be here once again to administer the oath of office to public servants who are willing to step up and benefit the entire community by serving on the Board of Education. And I think I've said before, it takes a lot of ambition, bravery. We know that this job has a lot of homework. It has a lot of responsibility. It's challenging to actively listen to all members of the community, to listen to people's differing views and making decisions that are best for all of us and all of our students. And we know that those decisions that you make are making a difference for our community today and ongoing for the future. I also want to say I last administered an oath in office to the Longacre Elementary Safety Patrol and Leadership teams in their Leader in Me school. So the crowd looks a little different today. So I'm going to ask each of you to please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Farmington Public Schools according to the best of your ability? I do. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations. And thank you, Judge Parker, for doing this for us. We really appreciate you coming out tonight. Okay, we will now move on to recognitions. Dr. Coffin?
Yes, so I would like to call Mr. Brad Paddock, Assistant Superintendent for Talent Development and Human Resources, to the podium to introduce our Teachers of the Year.
Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Coffin and Board of Education members. Happy New Year to all of you and your families, and a special welcome to Mr. Hall. You look good up there, sir, so congratulations. It is a privilege to stand before you as I recognize this evening 4 outstanding educators in our district through the Teacher of the Year recognition ceremony this evening. Locally, Farmington Public Schools participates in this process under the umbrella of the annual Oakland County Outstanding Teacher of the Year program. We were excited this year that Oakland County added a new category to this program this year, and we followed their lead to include an early childhood teacher as one of the levels represented. Each year, this selection process offers us an opportunity to reflect on the remarkable dedication and passion demonstrated by all of our teachers. We are so fortunate to have caring, skilled, and dedicated team members in our adult staff community. Tonight, we will honor some of the very best who were nominated by their students, their staff colleagues, and parents in our community. Here is an overview of the rigorous process that was used to determine how these 4 individuals ended up in our presence this evening. Each school building, by level, submitted to the Human Resources Department their one building's finalist. The next step was to group nominees by level and redact all names, the school, the subject taught, or any other information that would suggest or identify the who. And finally, those nomination packets were assigned a reference number by level. Full individual and redacted nomination packets went to a committee composed of previous Teachers of the Year, the FAA president, HR personnel, and administrators. This committee was then tasked to provide a thorough review of submitted materials, and eventually, through conversation and dialogue, we ended up with a finalist from each application level. As the final step in a super fun experience, in late December, individual surprise visits were conducted at each school in front of a classroom of students to announce and unveil the district finalists at that level. I want to take a moment tonight for the audience and talk about our order of our program this evening. Each honoree will be invited up to the lectern and stand in close proximity so our spectators from home can view while I say a few words about each individual, and those words were taken from nomination packets. At the conclusion of my remarks, individual winners will be asked to approach the Board of Education to be congratulated and receive an achievement certificate and a check for $300 from Dr. Coffin on behalf of the district for their classrooms. Just prior to exiting up front, individual winners are invited to stand in front and center, and this is where audience members, you could come to the center for some photo opportunities. At that time, honorees only if you wish. This is not a requirement, but I do have a wireless mic. If you wanted to say a few words of inspiration or thanks, you could do that at that time. That portion, again, is not a requirement, and I will provide a microphone if you wanted to do that. As reflected in the agenda for the audience, the Board of Education does plan to take a brief intermission, celebration, recess after this portion of the meeting. I would ask that all audience members remain in the audience for all 4 presentations this evening and then depart during the recess if that's what you choose to do. We will start our evening with our early childhood category for our teachers at Farmington Early Childhood Center. I am happy to announce that this year's district winner for the 24-25 school year is an early childhood teacher who has been with the district since 1998. Will Laura Ligorowskis please come forward? Laura has served at FPS in multiple special education assignments over the years and her current role as an early childhood special education teacher. She has also taught in multiple FPS buildings such as Cloverdale, now the new administration building, Farmington Community Center, now the new Visions, and Alameda, which is now referred to as the Farmington Early Childhood Center. With Laura's multiple nominations, the words most often used to describe her teaching style are empathetic, adaptable, supportive, dedicated, and overall committed to each and every student's fullest potential. Laura goes above and beyond to build strong, meaningful relationships with everyone she interacts with on a day-to-day basis, students, families, and coworkers, says a nominator within her building. She is a collaborative and dedicated to working with families and teams to determine and implement effective strategies and support in order to ensure the well-being and growth for all her students. Another nominator states she is the ideal teacher for families at Farmington Early Childhood Center, especially for those sending their child to school for the very first time. Her multiple nominators noted her unique ability to work with every parent she meets, often providing multiple forms of support and communication to parents to reach out to her at any time. She makes not only the students feel comfortable, but the parents as well, viewing them as team members who in turn see her as a part of their family. The ability has been recognized previously by her multiple parent-nominated Golden Apple Awards from our Farmington Special Education Department. Congratulations, Laura, and thank you for all you bring each day to our youngest learners in this great district. At this time, I would ask you to approach the Board of Education and Superintendent Dr. Coffin.
Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you. Congrats, Laura. Thank you. Next, I'd like to welcome and ask to come forward our district elementary honoree and winner, Miss Laura Olowski. Laura was hired as a teacher at Beechview in 1998. She has since been at Beechview her entire career at FPS, teaching 4th grade exclusively. She was originally hired as a substitute teacher for the district in 1997. Once she obtained her teaching certificate from Madonna University, she then began her outstanding career at Beechview. Since her hire date, Laura has continued to inspire her many 4th grade students along with her fellow staff members at Beechview. She often takes new teachers under her wing and mentors them for her many years of great ideas, resources, and tools she's obtained over those years. With her heart and dedication to Beechview, it was no surprise that Laura took on the initiative of honoring Beechview's late PE teacher, Meg White, after her passing. Laura, along with her colleagues and students, decorated a memorial garden and planned a ceremony in which Meg was celebrated and honored this past June. Every day, Laura goes above and beyond for her students and community. She has led the Junior Optimist Club at Beechview Elementary for nearly a decade, with that club now serving over 50 students. She also co-facilitated the writing club, in which a book the students worked on was co-authored with author Andy Gutman, and that went to press. She also participates in community events, encouraging students to become involved, showing the importance of fostering relationships beyond the classroom. A word to best describe Laura, according to her nomination, is welcoming. She fosters a warm and approachable environment, says one of her colleagues. Students enter her classroom and feel immediately at home. Taking the time to understand each student's individual needs and interests, Laura creates a classroom environment that is inclusive, trusting, and inspirational to all who are in her classroom. She is known for welcoming students with autism into her classroom to afford them learning opportunities with grade-level peers and multiple 3rd grade students in her advanced math class to further inspire their knowledge of math equations, whether it be addition, division, or multiplication. Laura, FPS thanks you for your dedication, enthusiasm, and ability to inspire our students and staff every day at Beechview for the past 26-plus years. At this time, I would ask you to approach the Board of Education and Superintendent Dr. Coffin. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Only if you want to. Only if you want to.
Well, I went back and forth about it, but I'll just say a few things. Might as well take the opportunity. So I just want to say thank you for having me here tonight, and I cannot be surprised. I'm just one of those people that I can't be surprised. I pick up on hints, and this was truly a surprise. It's not something I ever expected in my career, because that's not why I do it. I don't do it for the recognition. I do it because I love the kids, and I just love it. So this was a complete surprise, and I'm completely humbled by it and so grateful for this recognition. I'm somewhat perplexed. I'm still in denial that it was me because, I mean, I feel like I'm an okay teacher, but what I'm really good at, I feel, is making kids feel good about themselves. And I think when you feel good about yourself, then you can be successful. And that's my goal every day, to make the kids feel loved and appreciated and valued. And so that's what I hope to do as I hope to wind down my career shortly and continue to inspire those students. So thank you so much. Thank you to my family who's here and my friends who are here. So, and some of my students, I see the whole family. Thank you, Mr. I had all 3 of Mr. Hull's kids, so thank you.
Thank you. Congrats. Thank you. Following up after our elementary school winner, we have our district middle school nominee and winner, Miss Susan Kim, who currently teaches mathematics at Power Middle School. Susan was hired in 2000, originally as an elementary teacher, where she stayed teaching lower elementary for about 9 years. After this, she became a middle school teacher, teaching language arts for 2 years. Ever since the 2011-12 school year, she has taught solely math, sharing her love and knowledge with all of her current and former students who still reach out to her to this day. Susan's kindness and desire to help her students and fellow Power Middle School staff were certainly reflected in her nominations. She is a conscientious of all students and their parents. She makes every student feel like they belong and are appreciated, said one nominator. Her positive demeanor brings lightness to all interactions. She interacts positively and calmly with each and every staff member at Power Middle School. Susan is described as an advocate for all of her coworkers, students, and parents, and is often looked at for guidance, just not within math, but life outside of the classroom. Aside from her incredibly welcoming demeanor, Susan puts the term hard worker to shame. One nominator deemed her the master of 8th grade in algebra content and curriculum, constantly doing work beyond the working hours, sorry, Mr. Dianchi, to make sure each student is set up for the success of each of their lessons. Susan runs the chess club for students and offers extra tutoring for students even when they are not her own students. Susan also has recently applied for and won a grant for a toothpaste millionaire project she plans to implement in her classroom. Her desire to innovate and make things fun and different for all of her students is critical in creating lifelong learners here at FPS. Susan, thank you for your continued hard work, dedication, and expertise in a subject that many students may shy away from. And please know that you make all the difference. At this time, I would ask you to please approach the Board of Education and Superintendent Dr. Coffin.
So I'm not prepared, but I do want to say that I am deeply humbled and grateful and just thankful I've made a difference. And there are a lot of great teachers at Power and around the district who could equally deserve this. So thank you very much.
Last but certainly not least, we have our High School Teacher of the Year, Mr. Joseph Lazzarino. If you could please come forward. Joseph was hired in 2011 as a vocational CTE auto teacher at Harrison High School. For multiple school years, he traveled between Harrison and Farmington High School until 2019-20 school year, in which Joseph has been solely at Farmington High, giving his all for these high school students. A common theme within all of Joseph's nomination from colleagues, students, and FPS parents is simply respect. Many of his students feel respected by Joseph, and that he has a way of making each and every student feel comfortable, even when they do not succeed on their first attempt. He creates a warm learning environment that students not only enjoy, but have become inspired by. A FPS parent wrote within their nomination, "He has taken my son under his wing and is helping him have a hugely successful high school experience. He allows my son to reach his full potential by working with him outside of the classroom because my son is so excited to learn more from him. He allows my son to set and reach high goals for himself in the auto field. He helped him study for and pass 10 certification tests as a freshman and allowed him to go to a statewide skills competition." Another theme that is mentioned when talking about Joseph is adaptability. For this school year, Joseph currently teaches every period of the school day. Even though his day is filled with classes, he is always willing to come in before school or stay at school to help any student in need. This being said, he has students of all skills and interests enter his classroom. He is easily able to adjust each lesson to meet the specific needs of every student, ensuring at the entire time that safety is the #1 priority in the auto classroom. One student nominator said, "He treats us more than a student and more like one of his own kids. He forms good relationships with past and current students and really helps us out with our ASE test." Parent nominations also recognize Joseph's commitment to that test, to their student success because of him with their Automotive Service Excellence Certification test. He's a huge part of why they're passing. Joseph goes above and beyond to help each and every student study for their test, and he cheers them on when they're competing in competitions. Joseph, FPS thanks you for your knowledge, expertise, and care for each and every one of your automotive students and the work that you put in to help them achieve in this subject that we know they love. Your commitment to demonstrating real-life skills that our students can carry with them after high school is noticed and cherished by all of you that are around you. At this time, I would ask you to approach the Board of Education and Dr. Coffin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I can't be outdone. I guess I have to say something. I want to thank my wife, first off, for nudging me out of the bed in the morning, pushing me out the door, and telling me to go to work. No, I'm just kidding. I do greatly appreciate it's an honor to have be in this position of Teacher of the Year. Nothing I ever expected. When they walked in the room, and normally, not to be anything negative, but normally when an administrator comes all the way down to the 700 wing, they're going to pull a student out of the room. And when I saw the principal and then the assistant principal, I thought, that student did something really bad. And then when I saw HR come in, I thought, I did something really bad. No, but Farmington is a great place to work. And working directly with my CTE colleagues even makes Farmington a better place to work. I appreciate it, and thank you very much.
As we conclude this presentation, I want our audience to know that each individual recognized here tonight will have their full name engraved on a plaque that will remain on the walls of our new administration building to be remembered forever as an FPS Teacher of the Year. A special thank you to the families of the members that we recognized here tonight. You know, you are a huge support of them so they can take care of our students here in Farmington, and please know that we appreciate that. Thank you to Dr. Coffin and the entire board for allowing us to present here tonight, this evening in this public space to lift up and celebrate our incredible staff members in Farmington. And also the School Community Relations Department and my fellow HR team members, thank you for helping make this evening feel and look so special with the decorations, programs, and cookies and punch. This would not be possible without you. As we move these 4 individuals forward to the Oakland County Teacher of the Year process, that if they are selected as a county winner, that celebration will be later on this spring as we move them forward from a district level to the Oakland County. And that concludes our Teacher of the Year recognition. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Paddock, and this just verifies, we've already known, we have incredible staff, and it is such a pleasure to recognize folks at this meeting. At this time, we'll be taking a short recess. We will come back at 6:30 so that the board can recognize people a little bit more informally. For those of you who want to stay for the rest of this invigorating board meeting, you are welcome to do so. But for those of you who don't want to do so, this might be the appropriate time to make an exit. So at this time, we'll have a 5-minute recess. Appreciate those recesses. Sometimes you get to see folks you haven't seen in a long time.
Carrie, hit it.
Do I need to? All right. No, I think we're good. All right. With that said, we are moving on now to items from the president. Can I get a motion for the agenda? Mrs. Heinrich.
I move to approve the agenda for the regular meeting of the Board of Education, Tuesday, January 7th, 2025, as presented.
Support.
There's a motion made by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Dr. Turner, to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes. Move on now to announcements. Excuse me. First off, I hope everyone had a great break. I hope you enjoyed your holidays, whatever you choose to celebrate, and I really hope that everyone has a wonderful, happy New Year. I want to officially welcome our newest board member, Mr. Hall, and also returning board members, Dr. Turner and Mrs. Heinrich. Thank you all so much for either running for the Board of Education or running to retain your seat, or graciously answering the call when we needed help and offering to come back and help and support us. That brings me to just a huge thank you, because consistency on a Board of Education is one of the top reasons for or a contribution to a highly functioning school district. And so I'm very, very grateful for those of you who return back to us or that run again and are successful in retaining your seat, because that goes a long way in helping us to continue to move forward and maintain the momentum that we have. In that vein, I'd like to recognize School Board Appreciation Month. There is a saying with respect to people in service that we should appreciate those who diligently labor amongst us, and that we esteem them with the highest love because of their work. That's actually in Thessalonians, and it's one of the a favorite passage of mine. I want to wish you all peace and patience in this work. I want to recognize the crucial role that you play in guiding our school district. I am praying for your well-being, for each of you, for strength and joy in your service. I'm grateful for your sacrifices and for your hard work, and I want you to know that your efforts are not going unseen. I'll just use this one. Thank you. I want to just take a moment, too, to acknowledge your hard work and sacrifice, not just now, but over the years. Your contributions to our success are evident in so many ways. We are the first ever certified Board of Education for Farmington Public Schools. That is because of this board, and that is something to be celebrated. And I also want to recognize that Mr. Hull has committed himself already to education, and I believe has already started taking classes even before he took his oath of office. So that is commendable. I appreciate that. This whole board appreciates that. And it's really, really important to continue to develop our continuous improvement and recognize the importance of professional development. We are, as a board, committed to community engagement. We have established the first ever Community Engagement Committee. We've established the first practice ever of timely communications. We've established the first ever practice of developing goals for our board for the past several years, and we've achieved every one of our goals in each year. Most of us have led through a pandemic, which is the most difficult time in all of education history, and I appreciate those of you who have stayed and have chosen to continue to serve even after that time. I want to recognize all of us who have been committed to regular quarterly retreats, which is a full day every quarter of continuing education, of reviewing data, becoming more data savvy. And I want to also recognize the fact that each of us is embracing data, even when it's negative, and using that information to help drive decision making. I want to recognize this board for establishing a vision for our district. And I want to also help to recognize the fact that we have grown so much over the past several years into a highly functioning board. And that is no small feat, especially with those of us who come from so many different backgrounds and so many different opinions. We get a lot of different opinions from our community, and there are a lot of different opinions on this board, but we deal with each other with civility and respect, and I really, really appreciate that. So happy School Board Recognition Month. There's a little note in front of your desk with a small gift, and I expect that to be returned. All right. I also wanted to acknowledge that Mr. Walker is not here today, and he will be absent for the next few meetings, but that's okay. He is well, but he just needs to take a little bit of time off, so I wanted to acknowledge that and let the public know that as well. As a result of new people joining the board and Mr. Walker's absence for the next couple of meetings, we have made some changes. I've made some changes to assignments on committees. So Mr. Hull is now on the Community Engagement and Communications Committee. He is also on the Finance and Facilities Committee. We've added Mrs. Smith to the Policy Committee. I've asked Dr. Turner to chair the Policy Committee. He will take over the work that Donald Walker has been doing, and Dr. Turner has previously chaired the Policy Committee and is very familiar with that work, so I feel very comfortable with that. And then I've asked Mrs. Angie Smith to become the new liaison for FAAPN, given Mabel Fox's departure. So those are the new assignments that we have for this, the remainder of this school year. And then finally, I wanted to acknowledge a graduation that we had in December. Every year we bring back our IB graduates who have already graduated in June, but at the time of the graduation, they're not quite sure whether they've achieved the IB International Baccalaureate diploma because they don't have their scores yet. So we bring them back in December when most of them kind of come back for the break, and we usually get a really large showing. Over half of them usually come back and are available for that. And it was a really great time to watch them achieve that significant recognition, and also to hear from, and we usually hear from some returning students, but this time there were 2 students who came back who kind of just blew me away, and I just need to take a minute to acknowledge them. And I want to acknowledge Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Heinrich for also attending that graduation. So the one guy came up, really clean cut, you know, nice looking young man, and he talked about how nice looking he was. He talked about his hair. He had locks, and he talked about, you know, you may be wondering who is this guy with this beautiful hair, and he was really, really charming and funny. The next person that spoke was a young lady who was also very nice looking, beautiful, and articulate, and her speech was very different. There were 2 very different speeches, but there were 2 very good speeches, very articulate young people who were both pursuing their doctorate degrees. They were very successful in their undergraduate, and it became evident when the second person spoke, I can't remember who spoke first, I think she spoke first and then he spoke, that they were engaged. How cute and sweet was that? It was really, really, really cute. So we have some great students who are doing fabulous things. I really love the IB program, and we hear again and again that students who graduate from that program have no problem in college. They say it's actually easier, that their college experience is easier than their high school experience. So I really credit our school district for really preparing our students there. So that ends my announcements. We are ready to move on to the remainder of our agenda. Oh, we have public comment. Okay. So this is the first of 2 public comment periods. There are 2 public comment periods, but only 1 opportunity to speak. We offer 2 for flexibility and to allow folks who want to come in and get out early to do the first public comment, and those who may not have an opportunity to get here until later to do the second public comment. So if you are ready to do public comment, most of you know the spiel, but in case you don't, each member has 3 minutes. A timer will be on the screen. We ask that you address your comments to the board directly. We also ask that you refrain from using individual names out of respect for privacy for individuals. Generally, the board will listen to public comment but not respond. This is not the forum for a 2-way dialogue. In some cases, it might be appropriate for someone to follow up with you with a more formal response. We'll start with Mr. Bill Lubaway, and then the next person is Mr. Sean Black, and those are the only two public comment forms I have at this time. Mr. Lubaway?
I'm speaking today about achieving the American dream, and the state of Michigan ranks 41st among the 50 states in educational achievement. In this sorry state, Farmington's experience tracks with Michigan's statewide underperformance. Significant improvement could be made by eliminating the achievement gap between Farmington's African American and low-income students versus our other students. Does Farmington teach these kids the proven way out of poverty? A staggering 97% of millennials who followed the success sequence, getting at least a high school degree, working full-time, and marrying before having any children, in that order, avoided poverty, 97%. So why isn't closing this achievement gap by a date certain among the board's 2024-2025 goals? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lubaway. Now we will have Mr. Sean Black.
You said Mr., and he thought you were talking to him. So with that being said, I want to congratulate Mr. Hull on the victory. I want to show you the formula for your success. These two hard-working individuals were campaigning and door knocking and passing out flyers in our subdivision. So he takes payment in Hawaiian rolls. She takes payment in macaroni and cheese. All right? Just wanted to say congratulations again. All right, you two sit down. I want to say around this time last year, I was up here, I made a public comment about STEAM. At the time, my son was in STEAM, my daughter was in another school. But I think if you're man enough to stand up here and throw stones, you should be man enough to stand up here and give flowers. So I want to give flowers to the STEAM staff. It has been a totally different school year this year. My son is having a phenomenal year. Today he got a 100 on his fourth grade math test of 43 questions. So he's thriving, he's doing great. He has a best friend. His best friend and my wife, they seem like they're good friends, so I'm now friends with her husband, so it's all seeming to work out at STEAM. But STEAM has been a great situation this year, so I want to say, you said you can't mention names, but I want to say I had a great conversation with the principal. I call her by her first name, but maybe I shouldn't say that right now. But we had a great conversation on a Friday after work for about 40 minutes about my concerns. She listened to them, and so we haven't had any issues since. My daughter goes to Forest, and she's just having a great time. She loves it. She loves drop-off. Her safety patrol is excellent in the morning, and Principal V over there has been wonderful. And I want to send a shout-out to the two teachers that my students have. My son has Ms. Felcher. She's been absolutely wonderful this year. And my daughter has Ms. Gendrich, and she's been wonderful as well, and very patient both. So I want to send that there. I want to say thank you to Ms. Wings for allowing my son to do the Pledge of Allegiance earlier. That's very nice of you. And I want to conclude with my final, because I'm not going to take up the entire time. I reached out in November about the academic plan. I reached out to the superintendent again about it today. To Bill Lubaway's point, we can't look past that data. There is an achievement gap, and the achievement gap impacts kids who look like my kids. So with that being said, I would really appreciate a deeper conversation about the district's academic plan to address the academic gap between black and white students in this district and what is being done from a strategy standpoint to address those concerns, especially in reading and mathematics. That being said, thank you for your service as Board Month. Congratulations again, Thomas. And it's always great to see Ms. Smith and Dr. Turner. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I don't have any more public comment cards for this portion of public comment. I'm calling for public comment once, calling for public comment twice. At this time, public comment is now closed. And we will move on to items from the Secretary. Dr. Turner.
Thank you. Happy New Year to everyone. The board has received communications regarding IB graduation, request for a public correction of misinformation shared during the November 19th Board of Education meeting, Office of Head Start notifications, and when the board acknowledges communications and responds when appropriate, a list of correspondence can be found in the board packet accessible on the Farmington Public Schools website. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Turner. And now for a legislative update, Dr. Blau.
Yes, only a little bit to report. House Bill 5549 passed the Senate and then went to the governor, requiring school districts to have behavioral threat assessment and management teams in each school building. Also, there were changes to Public Act 152 and House Bill 6058, raising the hard cap for insurance costs, as well as requiring any district using the 80-20 option to make that the minimum amount covered. The new legislature will begin session on January 8th, and I'll have more for you at that time.
Thank you, Dr. Blau. We will now move to district. Is there anything further on that? Seeing none, we'll move to district updates. Dr. Coffin.
Thank you, President Weems. I hope everyone had a wonderful and restful winter break. While it was really nice to step away for a bit, it is really great to be back hitting the ground running. As President Weems mentioned, this month, all month, is January of Board Appreciation Month. During Board Appreciation Month, we celebrate the incredible dedication and leadership of our school board members. Their work shapes a bright future for the schools by fostering a shared vision that prioritizes student achievement. They set high standards for learning, assess progress to ensure goals are met, and holds themselves accountable to tracking and sharing these results. By aligning our resources effectively and creating safe, nurturing environments, they empower students to thrive and teachers, as we heard this evening, to excel. Through collaboration and a relentless focus on continuous improvement, they drive success and they inspire positive change. I personally want to thank you all for your unwavering commitment to excellence here at Farmington Public Schools. We do have one more board meeting in January, so we'll have more surprises for you then. That's all. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Angie, don't look so.
And now we will move to Project Search.
Thank you. I'd like to call Dr. Lydia Moore to the podium to talk about an exciting opportunity that we have entitled Project Search.
All right. Thank you for having me tonight, Board of Education, Dr. Coffin. I'm here to talk to you today about an exciting opportunity that's going to be offered for our students next year called Project Search. So I'll start by telling you a little bit about what Project Search is and then how it fits into the services we provide in Farmington Public Schools. So Project Search is a partnership between a school district, a local business, and community agencies such as Michigan Rehabilitation Services to provide a one-year program intended for students with significant intellectual disabilities to be able to gain the skills that they need to be employable at competitive rates. So Project Search actually started in Cincinnati with Cincinnati Children's Hospital, along with the Cincinnati Public School System, when they found that the outcomes for students with more significant intellectual disabilities were not great. The employment outcomes were not great. And Project Search started in Michigan now a little bit over 10 years ago with various hospitals and other local businesses, and we were actually approached by Corewell Health Farmington Hills in order to see if we were interested in having this program come to Farmington. So I was very excited to hear this. I have some experience with Project Search, both personally. My cousin's son in Covington, Kentucky went through Project Search, and I am aware of several other students in other districts who have utilized Project Search. So I'll tell you a little bit about the model. It's like I said, it's a one school year model. It's intended to be the last year that students with disabilities would go through school. That doesn't mean that it's the year that they turn 25. It might be before then, but it's intended for students who are ready to work. They are ready to leave the school and become, again, competitively employed. The model takes place on the campus of the host business. Like I said, in this case, it would be Corewell Health. And the program is a total immersion into the host site. So the students who are then called interns learn job skills that would be transferable to other businesses. And often the students are directly hired by the host business once that year is complete. There would be a teacher on site, a work coach, a job coach on site, and then again, the host business managers would be trained to work with our students as well to help build their stamina and skills. From a host business perspective, it adds to the neurodiversity of the workforce and really helps to grow and build their business. Oops, yikes. There we go. So the core model fidelity components of Project Search are that the outcome is, after the 1 year, that students will become competitively employed with at least 16 hours a week, but for many students, it's more than 16 hours a week. The focus of the program is servicing young adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. It's a program that is a collaborative partnership, again, with agencies such as Michigan Rehabilitation Services, the educational arena, or Farmington Public Schools, as well as the host business. It is business focused. It is all of the instruction that happens in the classroom, which is about an hour a day of instruction in the classroom, is focused on those soft skills that you need to be successful in a work environment. And then there's, again, 4 hours of training that takes place within the job intern site. And then at the end of the day, back to instruction on job skills that can be transferred. The program is intended to lead to the acquisition of competitive skills, and it's committed to continuous improvement. A part of being licensed through Project Search is that there's a team of folks that come from Cincinnati Children's that do fidelity reviews every year to make sure that we are following the model with fidelity. So the outcomes of Project Search in Michigan are quite great. You can see there that what we're looking at is overall employment in 22-23 was 88%. Now, the 2 years prior to that, the outcomes dipped a bit. That was during the pandemic. They were up closer to the 90s prior to the pandemic, so we're beginning to see an increase there. 33% of the graduates were employed by the host site specifically. 67 were employed outside of the host site, and the average hourly wage was about $14 an hour at 25 hours a week. And again, this is for students who are not earning a regular diploma. It's for students with more significant disabilities. This would fit within our current adult transition programs and services, not necessarily replace any of our services. We are very proud of the work we do at Visions Unlimited. This Project Search would be another opportunity for students. And then we still have the prep program that's on the campus of Oakland Community College that's also focused on jobs-related skills, but also other like adult living transition skills at that site as well. So again, we're seeing this as another opportunity to offer our students. I wanted to really talk to you tonight about how Project Search aligns with FPS goals and anchors. As I think about the outcomes that we expect for our learners through our profile of a lifelong learner, and we think about compassionate community member, learning these skills within a hospital allows our students to really use the skills that they're learning and see the direct impact of their work. It allows them to gain confidence as well as competence in work environments. It really leads to being a resilient problem solver because these are complex tasks that we're asking students to do. Sometimes may be very routinized, but they're still very complex. And I just want to give an example of when I met with the manager of the Environmental Services Department at Corewell Health. She talked about how important it is to clean a room a certain way, to follow a routine of what gets cleaned first and what gets cleaned last, and how important it is to do it correctly, because if you don't, people's lives are at risk. And our students will understand that and have pride in the work that they do. They learn to collaborate with each other. They learn to be strategic communicators within a workplace and really become self-actualizers and taking more ownership in their education. And I can't think of a more authentic learning opportunity than being immersed in a host site for a full year. It also, because of the fidelity checks and the curriculum that has been developed through Ohio State, I'm sorry to say, but that's okay. We won't hold that against them. There's fidelity to this model that has led to such great outcomes for students that I think that that's important for this board, as I know fidelity is important to you all as well. And then finally, I just want to talk about, when you first start or launch a project search site, there is financial support that's available through the State Aid Act, which includes a site license fee. The first year of the teacher salary is covered. There's technical assistance that comes from Cincinnati. We have in-person trainings, virtual trainings, site visits, the fidelity review. They send our staff to the National Project Search Conference that first year to learn more about the program. And then there's mini grant opportunities as well, as you can see, promotional support, as well as a statewide director who helps in making sure that we get up and running in a positive way. So I just want to share that we have started to share this information with our staff, our vision staff, as well as some of our high school special education staff. And then we have a parent information meeting coming up in January to share more information with parents so that they can, with their student, make good decisions about if Project Search is right for them and their students. So again, I thank you. I would ask if you have any questions at this time.
Smith.
It's not a question, it's just a thank you. Thank you for all the work that you have done with, and I know you had some great help in the past with Dr. McDougall, but the work that you have done for our special needs and our facilities has been phenomenal. You have worked diligently. I mean, I've seen some of our students at Target, TJ Maxx. They may not like the work, and they're very openly about telling you they don't like it, but it's fun. I also appreciate you, and I was at Henry Ford Hospital yesterday, and a lot of our students work there. I want to, sometimes we get into the whatever, and we're not thanking you enough. I have someone that has some children in special needs in other districts, and they can't speak highly enough of what you all do here, and they didn't get those services where they came from. So I want to thank you, Dr. Moore, for not only your work that you do here, but on the Special Ed Advisory Committee through the state of Michigan. You've done a great job, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I would, I would be remiss if I didn't say that the staff in Farmington Public Schools, the special education staff in Farmington Public Schools are amazing. In my opinion, they're the best in the state, and they make it easy to do this great work. But I appreciate your words. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Hiram?
Yeah, I just have a couple questions just to help me understand. You said
Yes.
it's a one-year program through Corewell Health. Is that just 1 year with the school district, or is 1 year with the students, and it will be a continuing program for future years for future students?
Correct. So any Project Search intern, that is a one-year program for that student. Our intention is to continue this partnership with Corewell and continue this every year. So an ongoing partnership with us, but for the students themselves, the intention is to work, again, we work really closely with MRS, lots of meetings throughout that year to really prepare the students to then go get gainful employment. So when I say a year, I meant for the students.
Oh, okay, all right, and then, what was my question? Oh, because it's through Corewell Health, is it training the students in healthcare fields, or are there other fields that they will be trained to work in?
Yep, so that's an excellent question. So they really focus on work skills that can be transferred into other environments. Such as I mentioned with the environmental services, those types of skills that you learn following the routines, putting the cart together, cleaning the rooms in a certain order, following that routine, those types of skills are transferable. But I will say that Corewell is one of the better partners with Project Search around hiring interns. They're very committed. The HR director of all of Corewell is very committed to Project Search and hiring interns, but they are not required to hire the interns. It's a competitive process with job interviews, and people are still expected to go through those same steps. But the intent is transferable skills. Mm-hmm.
So is it probably too many questions, but is it a Farmington teacher that we're supplying over there, or
Yes.
are they supplying a teacher?
Yep, so it would be a Farmington Public Schools teacher. If there's any ancillary services that the students receive, such as like occupational therapy, that would be provided through Farmington Public Schools. We work alongside of Oakland Schools, along with Michigan Rehabilitation Services, to hire a job coach. All of those folks are Farmington, right? And then the managers and the site supervisors are the same folks that would be training any new employee. So our people are responsible for the educational component, and then the host business is responsible for the training that they would do for any entry level.
Yeah, and so thank you for bringing this to the board, because it really aligns with our vision and our mission to meet the needs of every student, whatever they might be. And so there's so many unique needs within our school district education, public education. It's not one size fits all. So, I'll ask follow-up questions after. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. So again, I echo what my colleagues just said, but particularly around, our work is to produce individuals who go on to be productive members of society. And in particular, with respect to our differently able community, I know that from a DEI perspective, despite all of the things that we're doing, that our differently able community is about 3 times more likely to stay out of the labor force. So I really appreciate this work. Furthermore, our differently able community is about 65% of them are living below the ALICE threshold, which is asset limited income constrained. It's a threshold for not quite poverty, but 20% of them are living in poverty. So I really appreciate efforts to make sure that we're training our folks up to be able to maintain jobs. There's one other emerging program that I wanted to make you aware of, and at some point I'll make the introduction. The Detroit Regional Workforce Partnership is starting a program around differently able to create a virtual marketplace. And when I heard about this, I was really excited because I know about our own micro enterprise. And the idea is across Michigan to allow differently abled folks to make crafts and sell them online to folks who are interested in purchasing. And so if and when that becomes a thing, I really want to make sure that our school system has the opportunity to partner there and do more for entrepreneurs who are up and coming in that area. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. I look forward to hearing about that opportunity as well.
Okay, thank you. All right, seeing nothing further, thank you for your report. We will now move to a FAAPN update.
All right, I'd like to welcome Ms. Santoria Shepard, President of the Farmington African American Parent Network, to the podium to provide an update.
Hello. Good evening, board members and Dr. Kelly Kaufman. Thank you so much. Happy New Year to everybody. And congratulations again to you, Mr. Thomas Hall. My name is Santoria Shepard, and I am the newly appointed president, former vice president of the Farmington African American Parenting Network. I am deeply grateful for the opportunity to provide an update on what is happening at FAAPN. I would like to start with FAAPN's about. The Farmington African American Parenting Network is a community-driven, district-supported organization for all FPS students. FAAPN's goal is to foster student success and parent engagement. One of our missions is to provide meaningful resource and support the educational journey of all students within FPS, ensuring that every child has the tools to thrive academically and socially. FAAPN offers free tutoring every Saturday from 9 to 11 at Farmington High School. We offer free tutoring for all kids from 1st to 12th grade. Our sessions are from 9 to 11 in the Media Center, again at Farmington High School. Our FAAPN tutors are dedicated community stakeholders. We have teachers, college professors, including some elected officials. And we are heavily supported by the Farmington robotic group Hackbox. In addition, we are heavily supported by the AKA sorority, who help us with many workshops throughout the year. All of our volunteers assist students in mathematics, reading, and comprehension. And some of our tutors can even help our students with foreign language, like Spanish. To ensure an effective learning environment, we incorporate brain break activities and we provide snacks. And we have seen the impact of peer-supported tutoring. I would like to also update you on our 2025 fiscal year. We're going to start our fiscal year off with our SAT, ACT workshop. And thanks to our partnership with the Education Foundation, we're able to offer this workshop at a discount rate to all FPS students. So please stay tuned to our FAAPN Facebook page and district-wide communications on how to register for the SAT, ACT workshop. FAAPN will also be hosting parent general meetings and workshop this year. We are looking forward to hosting a parent meeting focusing on integrating artificial intelligence, AI, in education. We aim to explore AI initiatives to enhance learning and how to effectively use AI and not as a replacement tool. We want to make sure that the work is authentic. So we've had some lived experience where parents have talked about AI. Additionally, we want to bring back our popular financial literacy workshop and expand our parent advocacy meetings to helping our community understand and navigate 504 Individual Education Plans, IEP. And finally, FAAPN will be collaborating with the Parent Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Acceptance Committee. FAAPN is committed to strengthening our partnership within the district. We are working on collaborative community conversations with the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Greg Smith. The goal is to host meaningful community conversations centered on agency, awareness, and inclusive practices. This concludes my report, and again, thank you so much for your time and attention.
Thank you. Dr. Blau.
Do you happen to know when the book study is going to begin? The IDEA book study?
Great question. Greg Smith is going to be working on that, so we're in talks. So soon is
Okay.
what we have thus far.
I just don't want to miss it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Smith?
Who's the rest of your board? We just know that you are the new president.
So we have about 4 members who are there every Saturday tutoring. 2 of them are college professors. So I will give you their names because I only know them by their first name. So if I tell you Jeff, you have to guess the last name. If I tell you Monique, guess the last name.
So what you're saying is you did not have elections to put in new officers yet, other than yourself?
So we don't have elections, we have appointed. So we do
Okay.
appoint people who are there every Saturday, because as you know, being somewhere Saturday at 9 a.m., not everybody can do that.
Right.
All of our volunteers are parents. So when you are volunteering on Saturday at 9 a.m., you have to make adjustments to your children's schedule. So we don't have elections. We're not like you guys where you campaign. If you show up and you volunteer, we accept you.
The reason I'm asking is because in the past, prior to Mr. Hall, we have always had officers. So we knew that there was a treasurer,
Okay.
secretary, vice president, so that we would know who we can reach out to as the Board of Education. I appreciate your report, and I appreciate that you have the tutoring and everything in your website, well, Facebook page. I don't want to say website. And I appreciate the fact that you said you want to do a collaborative working relationship with the board.
Yes.
And that's what's important. So that the community won't take it upon themselves to feel that it's their due diligence to reach out to you first and have those conversations opposed to talking to us and then you all solving the problems for us. So I appreciate you said you wanted a working collaborative relationship. Thank you.
And I also appreciate that you are going to be part of the FAAPN board. Right now, you're appointed as the liaison.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, so not board, but, liaison, not part of the FAAPN board.
Yeah, no, as a liaison. That'll be great, thank you.
Yes, and so I wanted to just piggyback on that just a little bit more too. I love the strengthening of relationship, and I'm glad that you're meeting with Greg Smith. I know that you've also, for the past, about 6 months, been meeting monthly with our
Yes, we
superintendent
have.
as well.
Thank you for making time.
But we don't have that same type of access. So I think to get to Mrs. Smith's point, I think it might be helpful for us to meet as well, as opposed to, the email thing that's not really facilitating real, meaningful dialogue. So I look forward to establishing something either with myself or Mrs. Smith, who is the liaison. That
Thank
will
you.
be awesome. I had a question on tutoring and the ACT, SAT workshop. Great. Do you guys collect data at all, like to understand, you've been doing this for years now, how it's going? I'm sure there are anecdotal stories, but, how do we know how effective the tutoring is? I know we've done some research on tutoring and had various success with different models and found that it's a little harder to tutor when you don't have a good understanding of the curriculum. Right? So I wanted to kind of, and this is not requesting an answer, maybe this is some future dialogue conversation, but I'm wondering, I'm recalling a situation where I was trying to teach my own child, and the teacher told me that I was doing it wrong. How do we know that our tutors aren't, for lack of a better term, approaching teaching and learning differently than our teachers are, and, perhaps confusing the students? So I just want to kind of understand how that process works. And then recently, well, not recently, maybe within the last month, I got some communication from a community member who was wondering about the vetting of tutors, if there's any of that done. So would be interested in understanding that in some future communication as well. And then just getting back to with the ACT, SAT, great opportunity to give, folks some tutoring, wondering, whether there's data supporting, okay, these students had a pre-SAT score of this, and after this, they've gotten, their scores went up. Like, are you guys collecting any of that sort of data?
So I will share you, the ACT, SAT is done by exam expert. So we don't do it. We hire, because of the Education Foundation, we're able to bring in a company to facilitate that. So he would have all the raw data on that.
Okay.
So again, because this is something that we offer as a discount. So it's a totally different, we host it, but we don't facilitate it.
Okay. Mr. Hull?
So, FAAPN is my upbringing and legacy, and I'm really, really glad that you have taken the reins of it and to have the legacy continue from when it was actually formed. I would like to always extend I'm always there for FAAPN and for anything that you actually need, and continue the type of programming that FAAPN has and what FAAPN was created to do. And with FAAPN, I believe is an integral part of the pillar of Farmington to continue to give a voice to the Farmington community without any kind of filter or any kind of censoring with that, and to be able to still offer a robust program in which FAAPN actually does for the community, and I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. Again, this is a volunteer position, so I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I will be there every Saturday from 9 to 11. We used to have a very strong presence from the board. We had tutors there from the board, so I hope that we can get back to that too. But yeah, this is a volunteer program, and so again, I make my kids' activities after 11 o'clock because I am dedicated to giving 2 hours every Saturday to this community to impact the achievement gap. Thank you.
Dr. Turner, and then Mrs. Heinrich.
Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Good, how you doing?
I'm
Happy New
well.
Year.
Good to see you again. Thank you for the work that you're doing. You
Thank you.
actually hit on something I was going to speak about it, the very last thing you said, which is about attacking that achievement gap. So some of the questions that my board members asked and some of the things that they spoke about only strengthens the purpose of what FAAPN is here. And it's a pleasure and a privilege that it even exists. But once you start buckling what it is you're doing from a programmatic perspective based on the academic pursuits and theology that we have in place, and I hope that the district reaches out to make sure that those tutors are aligned with what we're doing in the classroom, because as we begin to attack that achievement gap, this is just one of the many pieces that is needed to have success in minimizing and eventually eliminating that gap. So I applaud all of the volunteers that are there. I remember having FAAPN Saturdays in this room with my children who are now about to graduate, hopefully in June. So it does work, and there's some speaking to the success of what they did. Because at first, they didn't want to stand up and talk to anybody. They didn't want to have any experiences. And after those Super Saturdays, as they were called, I'm thinking they're probably called the same thing, it was a good outcome for my children, specifically speaking. So just some of those things that we're talking about only strengthens the program and the programs that are being offered. And hopefully, our board liaison can be a shepherd as well as our superintendent to help in any way we can to for those students that are involved in the programming. So thank you.
I appreciate it. I would like to add one thing when we referenced Dr. Kelly Kaufman. In our last meeting, we talked about that, and she had given us some information on how to make sure our tutors are in fact tutoring our children and providing the tools based on what they've been taught in the classroom. So that has been conversation with the superintendent, and she's given us some resources, and I look forward to us talking again in 2025 about how to grow that, because I do agree with you guys that we want to make sure that we are tutoring and teaching them and giving them the resource based on what they're getting in the classroom. So thank you.
Mrs. Heinrich?
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on the tutoring, and I just, life got in the way this fall. I've been kind of busy, but I plan on coming back to help with tutoring.
We miss you.
But really, the Hackbarts, the robotics team is there, and just my observation as a teacher, as far as observing how the students are helping, because it's peer-led tutoring, these kids are real good. They really are, as far as helping the kids and understanding, because they're students within the district, and so they're focused on the methods that we use in the district. But just some of my observations that the district to supply textbooks, to make sure that just I mean, I can talk to you about this after, but to have the core classes, to have the textbooks available just for references for additional tutors. And then one of the things I noticed since you've been involved is that you really high tech when the students come in, they scan in so you know who's using the services. And so as you're developing your partnership with the district, I would encourage you to look for ways to identify the students that participate in the tutoring and identify how they're doing academically. And the same thing, I was there last year because the guy that was the outside service for the ACT was late. And so I was kind of in the room helping the kids get their pencils sharpened and get ready. But all those students that are on there for the ACT test, they're all scanned in. And so if to work with the district to, as far as identify those students that had the prep and see how they're doing. I mean, that's information that I think can be shared. And, you know, we have experts within the district. All you have to do is supply the names and protect privacy, so not identifying individual students, but just students that use the services, because I think that's real good information, and it helps you to be more effective. And as far as promoting the program, then you can use that data saying, you know, these students come once a week, once a month, and this is how they're doing based on that. And so it's closing, so show how we are closing that achievement gap.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further? Seeing none, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Next, we will move to reports from board committees. I don't think we have any reports from board committees. Oh, Dr. Blau?
Yes, I just wanted to remind my board colleagues and the community that we have our community dialogue coming up on the 4th of February. Here it is. The topic will be STEAM opportunities. From the recent Cobalt survey, we learned that many community members and parents are interested in more STEM and STEAM opportunities for students in our schools, and we would like to explore this topic together with parents, teachers, students, community members. All who are interested, 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, February 4th, right here. So a flyer will be coming out soon.
Thank you very much. The only thing I wanted to update the board on was that we have a meeting, a joint cities meeting on January 27th, I believe, which is a Monday. Dr. Coffin and I met with the cities today. Very productive meeting. Everyone is really excited to get together and talk about opportunities for partnership and collaboration. We've got a draft agenda forming up right now, and I will share that with you. I've spoken with each of you individually, with the exception of you, Thomas, and I'll get you updated soon about possible topics, and so all of them are on the table. I'm really looking forward to having this conversation, and also on creating a day where we actually have some action plans. And obviously, there will be a lot of really great, robust discussion, but we're all very interested in moving beyond just the discussion and really talking about, like, putting something into place, some action items associated with the things that we've talked about where there are opportunities for us to collaborate. Primarily around safety is a big one. Opportunities to connect our students with businesses and internship opportunities and so forth and so on, and also really big around student achievement and how can the cities partner with us to advance student achievement. Mrs. Smith?
Are they hosting or are we hosting?
They are hosting.
And the time, do you have a time?
I think it's 6 o'clock, and I told them that we needed really good food.
They do feed you well.
Just
I'm just
kidding.
saying, especially if it's at Farmington Hills.
It is Farmington Hills, and she
you're
did
gonna
say
eat well.
that.
Just kidding.
Tax dollars at work.
Next is anything further from board committees? Seeing none, we'll move to, we'll skip discussion items. There are no discussion items for today. We'll move to the next opportunity for public comment. This is you can come on up. We know who you are. This is the second opportunity for public comment. Anyone who wants to do public comment is welcome to come up at this time. We'll have Ms. April Brooks first.
So mine, I guess, more or less is a question. So one of the things I heard, and I want to make sure and maybe clarify, One of the things I heard is that if parents are experiencing anything in the district, that they come to the board first versus FAAPN. I don't know if that's true. I think one of the things that I would recommend that if we're going to FAAPN and not the board, let's talk about why, right? Let's collaborate, let's sit, let's have a conversation as to why we're feeling more comfortable going to FAAPN versus coming to the board. My next question, I was a little confused because I heard the board members ask her for test scores and what are the statistics and what are we finding, but I have to be honest, I haven't seen that come from the district, and I've asked the superintendent, and I've asked Dr. Kelly Coffin for it as well, and I've asked for materials when I was a former member of FAAPN, and I haven't seen that. And I think, I don't know if it's an oversight, but I really think those require a deeper conversation. What needs to be done? What type of support? Because I kind of feel like there's some type of disconnect. And that's it.
Thank you. And I just want to clarify a point. If members of the public, parents or students are having problems, the first point of contact is not the board. The first point of contact ought to be at the closest source of origin. So I want to make sure that that is very clear. If you are having a problem, as an example, with a teacher, you should not come straight to the board. You should discuss that problem with the teacher. If you are not getting resolution at that level, the next level would be the principal. There's like a chain of command. The board should be the last resort. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear to folks.
I think that sometimes as parents, we're just maybe sometimes looking for more information, so we will go to FAAPN, not necessarily that we're, and I'm not that type of parent to circumvent the hierarchy, but to just say, hey, hear me out on this. Am I right? Am I wrong? What direction, would you recommend? But it's not to go around the hierarchy, but to sometimes get an understanding, some support, or just some information so that you are making the best decision for your child, or that you're communicating the way you should with the school.
Thank you.
To clarify what I was saying, so that the community would get a better understanding, I'm not saying that they cannot. I'm not censoring anyone. I am not censoring FAAPN or PTA. But as organizations, they are not the spokespersons for the board, if that's clear. I understand Mr. Hall and Mr. Thomas has had, over the years, parents have come to them first, and they have come to the board or the superintendent and explained what their decision, what was brought to them. But to go and talk to a group without the group coming back, discussing those decisions and those discussions with the board, which causes a lot of discord. That's what my concern is to have those conversations. Most people don't want to talk to the board. They're intimidated. They will come to FAAPN or PTA, but for them to come back and talk to us, opposed to taking it upon themselves to start some mutiny against the board. That was what I was saying. So I'm not saying they cannot, and I agree. They should come to those that are in the community, not censoring anyone, and I'm not saying go straight to the board, but at least bring those conversations and make them clear, and then let them come to us, opposed to having them come to us and attacking. That was what.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Mr. Francis.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Coffin. I first off want to start by saying congratulations to Mr. Hall on your new position. It's great to have you here, and then as well to Mrs. Shepard, who unfortunately just left, but congratulations to both, as you guys clearly deserve the positions that you've earned, and I can't thank you enough for the support over the years, especially through Hackbots, which is the other reason I'm here tonight. And just kind of going off of what was being discussed with FAAPN, I think they're another core reason that STEM facilities being grown in the district should be a priority here, because we work with FAAPN year after year. Every single week there are hackbots in at the tutoring events where we can help students, and then we've also been running camps with them for the past 2 years. We expanded it this year to encompass a greater population, and we're going to continue to do that next year. But again, it's one of those core things that I believe is really helping promote growth in our district, and that's why I worry sometimes, about how much more growth can we accomplish without being able to expand, and that's why I continue to push for more STEM facilities in the district, especially if we can keep the team at FHS even better, so that way we can continue to work with FAAPN. That's a very, very important part for me, because ever since my freshman year, we've been working with them and doing tutoring. So it's very deeply ingrained in me, and very, very important that we are able to continue that support, and we're able to continue to grow STEM in the district. And then one final thing, there was a school mentioned earlier in the meeting. I just wanted to say, and I mean no negative anything by this, but it's the Ohio State University. I had to throw that one in there.
Thank you, Mr. Francis. I'm from Ohio, so I think. Is there any further public comment? Seeing no further public comment, we will move to action items. Is there a motion related to the pre-calculus new course recommendation? Mrs. Heinrich.
Yes, this item was presented at our December 17th meeting for discussion. I move that the Board of Education approve the proposed AP pre-calculus course as presented and discussed at the December 17th, 2024 Board of Education regular meeting.
Support.
Motion moved by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Dr. Turner, to approve the proposed AP pre-calculus course. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to review, since it's been a while. Our curriculum offers pre-calculus and offers honors pre-calculus, and so the AP pre-calculus course is going to replace the honors pre-calculus course. So that students taking the honors pre-calculus will now be called the AP pre-calculus, and will have the opportunity to take the AP test and earn college credit if they so choose to do that. So I want to thank the district for bringing this opportunity to our students, because the honors pre-calculus is a rigorous course, and so this is just a supplement to what we're already doing, and another opportunity for our students to get that extra college credit before they actually enroll in college.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Secretary, could we please have a roll call vote?
Yes, Ms. Blau. Dr. Blau, excuse me.
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
I myself, yes. Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you very much. We will now, we sure did. I apologize.
Yes.
And I put a check by your name.
Motion passes. Thank you. We will now move to the consent agenda. Is there a motion? Mrs. Smith.
I move that the Board of Education approve the January 7th, 2025 consent agenda as follows. The December 17th, 2024 special meeting, December 17th, 2024 closed session, December 17th, 2024 regular meeting.
Support.
Motion made by Mrs. Smith, supported by Mrs. Heinrich, to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? That motion passes. Do we have any reports from board representatives? Seeing none, then we can move to adjournment. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you all.